Give me space. I feel suffocated, she said while booking romantic dinners in Paris. I said nothing and started dating my colleague. When she returned 6 weeks later, my new girlfriend answered the door. I'm Michael, a 29-year-old aerospace engineer who thought I understood relationships like I understood rocket science. Turns out I was wrong about both. Jessica and I had been together for 2 years, and I'd already booked our anniversary trip to Paris when she walked into my apartment with tears in her eyes and a speech that sounded rehearsed. Michael, I need space to figure out who I really am outside of this relationship. I feel suffocated sometimes, like I'm living someone else's idea of what my life should be. I looked up from my laptop where I'd been reviewing satellite propulsion data. What kind of space are we talking about? I need to explore my independence, maybe travel somewhere I can connect with my creative side. I want to take that solo trip to Paris I mentioned and really think about what I want from life. Solo trip to Paris, the same city where I'd planned our anniversary, the same city where Antoine, the photographer she'd met at her Chicago conference 3 months ago, conveniently lived. I'd noticed her checking her phone constantly lately, suddenly interested in French art and culture. This wouldn't have anything to do with that photographer you met in Chicago? Her face flushed. Antoine has nothing to do with this. He just opened my eyes to different possibilities, showed me there are people who pursue their passions instead of settling for safe, predictable lives. Safe and predictable. I designed systems that launch satellites into space, but apparently that qualified as boring. I walked to my desk and pulled out my laptop. That's interesting timing, Jessica. Mind if I check something? I logged into our shared email account and found exactly what I expected. According to my email, you booked a flight to Paris 3 weeks ago. Also interesting are these dinner reservations at Le Grand Véfour and tickets to the Musée d'Orsay private tour. Premium experiences for someone soul-searching alone. I kept clicking. Oh, and here's my favorite. A wine tasting tour booked for 2 people with a note requesting English and French-speaking guides. Jessica started crying angry tears. You have no right to spy on me. This is exactly why I need space. You're so controlling and suspicious. I'm reading emails from an account you gave me access to. I'm suspicious because my girlfriend suddenly needs to find herself in the exact city where her photographer friend lives, complete with romantic reservations for 2. Antoine is just helping me plan cultural experiences. He knows the city better than any guidebook. I'm sure he does. I'm also sure he knows exactly what kind of experiences a vulnerable American tourist might be interested in. The fight revealed everything. Jessica wasn't having a quarter-life crisis. She was having an emotional affair and using self-discovery as an excuse to turn fantasy into reality. When I confronted her about lying, she accused me of being unsupportive. When I pointed out her deception, she said I was too practical to understand artistic impulses. By the end of the night, she was packing and telling me this space would help us both figure out what we wanted. You're absolutely right, Jessica. Take all the space you need. In fact, take more space than you even asked for. What's that supposed to mean? It means I hope you find exactly what you're looking for in Paris. And I hope it's everything you imagined. Jessica left for Paris on Saturday, and by Sunday my Instagram feed was filled with her journey of self-discovery. Pictures at sidewalk cafes with captions like, "Finally breathing again," and "Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself." What she was finding was an expensive lifestyle funded by our canceled anniversary savings. I started working overtime on a satellite project when Dr. Amanda Rodriguez approached me with a proposal that would change everything. Michael, I've been following your work on propulsion efficiency. I think we could collaborate on something revolutionary. Amanda was brilliant, a senior engineer with a PhD from MIT and ideas about commercial space travel that made my pulse quicken. What did you have in mind? Space tourism. I've been developing lightweight cabin designs, but I need someone who understands propulsion systems at your level. We could make space accessible to regular people, not just billionaires. While Jessica posted photos of mysterious male hands holding wine glasses in front of the Eiffel Tower, I found myself staying late with Amanda, sketching designs that could revolutionize human space travel. Our engineering sessions became the highlight of my week. Amanda actually listened when I explained propulsion theories, asked thoughtful questions, and contributed innovations that improved our designs. "Your efficiency calculations are incredible," she said Thursday evening reviewing thrust-to-weight ratios. I've never worked with someone who could optimize fuel consumption like this. It was refreshing to have someone appreciate work Jessica had dismissed as boring rocket stuff. Meanwhile, Jessica's Instagram stories got more obvious about her Parisian romance. Dinner tables set for two at expensive restaurants, couple silhouettes against sunsets, captions like, "When someone shows you what passion really looks like," and "Discovering what I've been missing." I showed Amanda one particularly obnoxious post during our coffee break. "My ex is in Paris, finding herself through expensive dinners and art galleries." Amanda glanced at the phone and shook her head. "Sounds like she's finding someone else's credit card. Meanwhile, you're designing spacecraft that could change human spaceflight forever." Funny how people define passion differently. That's when I realized how different Amanda was from Jessica. While Jessica sought validation through lifestyle posts and expensive experiences, Amanda found excitement in solving complex engineering problems. Our mutual friend Claire called with information I hadn't asked for but needed. "Michael, I thought you should know what Jessica's been saying about your relationship." "I really don't need to hear this, Claire. She's been complaining for months, calling you too practical and lacking spontaneity. She told everyone you were more interested in spreadsheets than romance. She said Antoine makes her feel alive in ways you never could." Too practical. The same criticism she'd made when I budgeted for our future instead of spontaneously booking expensive trips. She's been planning this Paris trip since she met him, hasn't she? Absolutely. She showed us his Instagram 3 months ago, going on about how artistic he was compared to American guys. She said she deserved someone who understood her creative soul. Creative soul. Jessica's most creative achievement was color coordinating her handbag collection, but apparently that qualified her as an undiscovered artist needing European inspiration. The irony was rich considering I was designing vehicles to explore the universe while she called me unimaginative. The worst part is how she justified it. She said you were holding her back from becoming authentic, that she needed to experience real passion before settling for stable but boring life. Settling for me. That stung, but also clarified something important. Jessica had never seen me as someone worth choosing, just worth settling for, until something more exciting came along. Meanwhile, Amanda and I were making real progress on our space tourism project. We'd developed a propulsion system that could reduce orbital flight costs by 40%, while maintaining safety standards exceeding current regulations. When Amanda suggested submitting our designs to the International Aerospace Conference in Tokyo, I realized this could be the breakthrough both our careers needed. "We should present this together," she said, reviewing our calculations. "Your propulsion innovations and my cabin designs could revolutionize commercial spaceflight. You really think it's ready for international presentation? Michael, this is brilliant work. You've solved efficiency problems aerospace companies have struggled with for years. Stop selling yourself short." It occurred to me that Jessica had spent 2 years convincing me my work wasn't exciting enough. My ambitions weren't bold enough. But here was Amanda, someone with actual expertise, telling me my innovations could change the industry. 3 weeks into Jessica's Parisian adventure, Amanda and I were refining our spacecraft designs when my phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. Aviation Week magazine wanted to feature our preliminary space tourism project. "Amanda, you need to see this," I said, showing her the email. "They want to interview us about revolutionary propulsion systems in commercial spaceflight." "This is incredible, Michael. Your innovations are getting recognized by the industry's top publication." While Jessica posted Instagram stories about authentic French living and expensive wine tastings, I was achieving actual professional recognition for work she'd dismissed as unimportant. Amanda suggested we accept the invitation to present at the Tokyo Aerospace Conference. We should book our flights today. This could launch both our careers into a different stratosphere. That evening, I was updating my LinkedIn profile when I received a message that made everything about Jessica's situation crystal clear. It was from aerospace engineer David, who'd seen my propulsion work. "Hey Michael, crazy question, but is your ex-girlfriend in Paris right now? I think she might be dating the guy who scammed my sister last year. French photographer named Antoine who targets American women." I immediately called David. "What exactly happened with your sister?" "She met this Antoine guy on a business trip. He gave her the whole artistic soul treatment, took her to expensive places, made her feel like she was living some romantic movie. turned out he'd been using her credit cards to fund his lifestyle while maintaining relationships with multiple women. My sister lost about $8,000. I felt my stomach drop. Did your sister post about it on social media? Oh yeah, she documented the whole romance until she discovered the truth. Then she found out he'd been posting similar romantic content with at least 4 other American women over the past 2 years. Guys basically running a romance scam targeting wealthy tourists. I thought about Jessica's expensive dinner posts, the private art gallery tours, the premium wine tastings, all funded by someone, and it clearly wasn't Antoine's photographer salary. David, would you mind sending me your sister's contact information? I think my ex might be his current target. 20 minutes later, I was on a video call with David's sister Sarah, who showed me Antoine's Instagram from her fake profile. The evidence was devastating. Antoine had been posting romantic content with different women every few months. Always American, always wealthy looking, always in the same expensive Paris locations. The pattern is always identical, Sarah explained. He starts with the artistic soul connection, takes them to premium experiences, gets them to pay for everything while making it seem romantic and spontaneous. Then, he moves on to the next target. I screenshotted several posts showing Antoine with different women at the exact restaurants Jessica had been posting from. How long does this usually last? About 6 to 8 weeks. Long enough to max out their credit cards and drain their vacation savings. Then he suddenly becomes unavailable and disappears. 6 weeks. Jessica had planned to stay 2 months, but if Sarah was right, Jessica was about to discover her artistic French lover was actually a professional scammer. I shared this with Amanda the next day while we worked on final calculations for our Tokyo presentation. So while you're revolutionizing space travel, your ex is getting financially drained by a romance scammer in Paris, Amanda said with amazement. I'd feel sorry for her if she hadn't spent months telling people you were boring and unambitious. The irony isn't lost on me. She left me because I was too practical and financially responsible, then immediately fell for a guy whose entire business model is financial irresponsibility. Amanda laughed. Meanwhile, you're about to present breakthrough technology to international aerospace leaders. 2 days later, Aviation Week published our feature article. The response was immediate and overwhelming. My phone started ringing with calls from aerospace companies, venture capitalists, and research institutions wanting to discuss our innovations. Amanda and I spent the day fielding inquiries about licensing our technology and potential partnerships. Michael, NASA wants to set up a meeting, Amanda said, holding her phone with barely contained excitement. They're interested in adapting our propulsion system for their lunar mission program. NASA. The organization I'd dreamed of working with since I was 12 was calling about my innovations. While Jessica was taking selfies with croissants in Parisian cafes, I was getting calls from the world's premier space agency. That evening, I posted a simple LinkedIn update about the Aviation Week feature and Tokyo conference presentation. Within hours, it had hundreds of congratulations from aerospace professionals. The contrast between real achievement and Instagram lifestyle posts couldn't have been more stark. Jessica returned from Paris after exactly 6 weeks, and her homecoming was nothing like the triumphant journey of self-discovery she'd advertised. I discovered this when Amanda and I were packing for our Tokyo presentation and my phone started buzzing with frantic calls from a number I'd blocked. She'd been calling from different numbers all morning, growing increasingly desperate with each voicemail. Michael, please pick up. Something terrible happened in Paris and I really need to talk to you. I showed Amanda the string of missed calls. Should I answer? That's your call, but remember she made her choice 6 weeks ago when she chose her artistic Parisian adventure over what you two had built together. I finally answered on the 7th call. Jessica, what's wrong? Everything's completely ruined. I'm back home and I need to tell you something important. Antoine wasn't who I thought he was. No kidding. What happened? He used me, Michael. He made me pay for everything and then disappeared when some family emergency came up. He said his grandmother was dying and he had to leave Paris immediately. I haven't heard from him since. I walked over to my laptop and pulled up the screenshot Sarah had sent me. Jessica, I need to show you something. Antoine's Instagram account. How do you have access to his Instagram? I don't. But I know someone who does, and you need to see what he's been posting. I shared my screen during our video call, showing her the evidence I'd collected. Photo after photo of Antoine with different women over the past 2 years, all in the same romantic Paris locations she'd been posting from. The exact same poses, the same restaurants, the same private art galleries. That's impossible. He told me I was special, that he'd never felt this way about anyone before. Jessica, look at the dates. He posted these with different women every 6 to 8 weeks for the past 2 years. You weren't special, you were his latest victim in a romance scam. I watched her face crumble as the reality sank in. Everything she'd thought was genuine passion had been calculated manipulation. Every romantic moment had been a business transaction. Every artistic soul connection had been a practiced script. But we had such an incredible connection. He understood my creative side in ways you never did. Did he understand it? Or did he tell you exactly what you wanted to hear? Because looking at these posts, he told at least 4 other women the exact same things. She started crying harder. I spent all my savings, Michael. The romantic dinners, the private tours, the expensive hotels. I thought we were building something beautiful together, but I was just paying for his lifestyle while he laughed at how naive I was. All her savings, the money she'd been setting aside for her future, blown on 6 weeks of Instagram-worthy experiences with a professional con artist. The irony was almost too perfect. How much are we talking about? About $12,000. Everything I had saved up, plus I maxed out my credit card. I thought it was an investment in our relationship, in experiencing real passion for once in my life. $12,000 for 6 weeks of fake romance with a scammer, while she'd spent 2 years calling me financially irresponsible for wanting to budget for our future. I'm sorry that happened to you, Jessica. Getting scammed is never fun. That's it? That's all you have to say? The entitlement in her voice was staggering. Even as the victim of a con game, she still expected me to fix her problems. What exactly do you want me to say? You left me to find authentic passion with someone who made you feel alive. You found exactly what you were looking for. I made a terrible mistake. I realize that now. You were stable and reliable, and I took that for granted. I was stupid and impulsive, and I chose excitement over substance. Stable and reliable. Even in her apology, she was damning me with faint praise. I wasn't the love of her life she couldn't live without. I was the sensible choice she should have stuck with. Jessica, I'm glad you recognize that you made a mistake. But I've moved on. What do you mean you've moved on? It's only been 6 weeks. I looked over at Amanda, who was reviewing our presentation slides with the focused intensity that had made our collaboration so successful. I mean exactly that. I've moved on. Professionally, personally, completely. There's someone else, isn't there? The accusation in her voice was incredible. She could have an affair, abandon our relationship for a Parisian romance scammer, and still be offended that I might have found someone who actually valued what I brought to a relationship. Yes, there is. Someone who appreciates the work I do, supports my ambitions, and doesn't think financial responsibility is a character flaw. How could you replace me so quickly? Replace her? Like I'd simply swapped out one model for a newer version. I didn't replace you, Jessica. I found someone better. The next morning, Jessica posted a lengthy Facebook essay that would have made a soap opera writer proud. The post featured a teary-eyed selfie with the title, "When People Show Their True Colors." Sometimes you discover that people you trusted most are capable of shocking cruelty. When you're going through the worst experience of your life and need support, finding out that someone you loved has already moved on with a coworker is devastating. Some people change the moment you're not convenient anymore. I'm learning that real love means being there during vulnerable times, not abandoning someone when they're trying to grow. #betrayed, #moving on, #know your worth. The post was everything I expected from Jessica. Zero accountability, maximum victimization, and a complete rewrite of history. Within an hour, the comments section became a battlefield. Claire was first to fire back. "Girl, didn't you post about finally finding real passion and discovering what you've been missing literally 6 weeks ago? I have screenshots." Sarah joined in. "Wait, aren't you the one who went to Paris to find yourself with that photographer guy? How is Michael the villain here?" Then Jessica's sister Amy dropped the nuclear bomb. "Jess, you literally told me 3 months ago that you were bored with Michael and wanted someone more exciting. You planned that Paris trip behind his back. Stop making yourself the victim." The thread exploded. Friends who'd listened to Jessica complain about me for months started sharing receipts, screenshots of her texts calling me boring and unambitious, photos she'd posted bragging about her French romance, messages where she'd criticized my career and compared me unfavorably to Antoine. Claire posted the most damaging evidence. A screenshot of Jessica's text from 2 months ago that read, "Michael is sweet, but he's not exactly husband material. He's too practical and doesn't understand passion. Antoine makes me feel alive in ways I never knew were possible. I think I need to take some risks before I settle for a safe but boring life." The word "settle" was highlighted in the screenshot. 23 people liked Claire's comment. Jessica tried damage control, posting replies about things being taken out of context and how people were twisting her words. But the timeline was clear. She'd been planning her escape for months, found her Parisian romance, and was now playing victim because it backfired spectacularly. Meanwhile, Amanda posted a simple LinkedIn update that made Jessica's drama look pathetic by comparison. "Thrilled to announce our space tourism propulsion system has been selected for NASA review. Grateful to work with brilliant colleagues who share a vision for making space accessible to everyone. Innovation happens when passionate people collaborate toward impossible goals." The post received 847 likes and 92 comments from aerospace professionals congratulating our breakthrough. The contrast between Amanda's professional success and Jessica's social media meltdown was starkly clear. But Jessica wasn't finished. The real fireworks started when she discovered Amanda's LinkedIn post and realized the full scope of what she'd walked away from. That evening, she posted an Instagram story clearly directed at me. "Funny how some people think work achievements make them better than everyone else. Real success is about authentic connections and emotional growth, not impressing colleagues with fancy projects. Some people confuse professional validation with personal worth." Amanda saw the post when our mutual friend forwarded it to her. Her response was perfect in its simplicity. "Well, I'd rather be professionally validated than financially scammed in Paris." That single comment, which somehow made its way back to Jessica, triggered an absolute meltdown. Jessica started posting stories every hour, each more unhinged than the last. She posted about fake people who prioritize careers over relationships, about women who steal other people's boyfriends, about how authentic love couldn't be replaced by workplace romance. The desperation was palpable, and our mutual friends were starting to get embarrassed for her. The final straw came when Jessica posted a photo of herself crying with the caption, "When you realize some people never actually loved you, they just liked having someone around until something better came along. Real love doesn't have expiration dates." Amy commented immediately, "This is rich coming from someone who literally did exactly that to Michael." The public humiliation was complete when Jessica's own family started calling her out. Her cousin posted, "Jessica, you need to stop this. Everyone knows you left Michael for that French guy. Take some responsibility for your choices." I watched this spectacular social media destruction from Tokyo, where Amanda and I were presenting our breakthrough technology to international aerospace leaders. While Jessica was having a public breakdown about authentic love and betrayal, we were fielding offers from 3 different companies wanting to license our propulsion system. Jessica's social media campaign wasn't finished destroying her reputation. Over the next 2 weeks, she escalated from passive-aggressive posts to active sabotage attempts that would make a reality TV villain proud. First came the professional attack. Jessica obtained our company's HR contact information and filed a formal complaint claiming I was using company resources for personal relationships with Amanda. She alleged I was sexually harassing a colleague and creating a hostile work environment. I discovered this when my supervisor called me into his office while Amanda and I were celebrating our successful Tokyo presentation. "Michael, I need to discuss a serious allegation that's been made against you regarding your relationship with Dr. Rodriguez." My heart sank. What kind of allegation? Sexual harassment and misuse of company resources for personal relationships. The complainant claims you've been using work time and facilities to pursue a romantic relationship. I looked at Amanda, who was equally shocked. "Sir, Dr. Rodriguez and I have been collaborating on a breakthrough propulsion system that's now under NASA review. Our relationship developed naturally through professional collaboration." Amanda spoke up. "I can verify that our collaboration has been completely professional. Our personal relationship developed after our professional success, not during company time. The investigation was thorough and ultimately vindicated us completely. Security footage showed the timeline of our professional collaboration. Email records proved our work sessions were legitimate business activities, and interviews with colleagues confirmed our appropriate behavior. The investigation also revealed something interesting. The complaint had been filed using falsified credentials, claiming to be a company employee when she wasn't. Mr. Wells, HR Director Janet said during our final meeting, not only are these allegations completely unfounded, but filing false harassment claims is a serious legal matter. We're considering whether to pursue charges against the complainant. But Jessica wasn't done. When the HR attack failed, she moved to character assassination through our mutual friends. She started spreading rumors that Amanda had actively pursued me while I was still in a relationship, that she'd manipulated me into leaving Jessica, that their collaboration was just an excuse for an affair. I heard Jessica's telling people that you started flirting with Michael before she left for Paris, Claire told Amanda during a coffee meeting. She's saying you deliberately sabotaged their relationship to steal him away. Amanda's response was measured and professional. The timeline speaks for itself. Jessica left for Paris before Michael and I began collaborating. She ended their relationship to pursue someone else. I'm not responsible for her choices or their consequences. But Jessica's most desperate move was attempting to directly sabotage Amanda's research. She somehow gained access to our preliminary design documents and contacted several aerospace companies claiming Amanda had stolen proprietary technology from previous employers and was fraudulently claiming credit for innovations. She alleged Amanda's MIT credentials were exaggerated and that NASA interest was based on falsified data. The aerospace industry is smaller than people realize, and Jessica's allegations quickly reached the wrong people. Amanda received a concerned call from her former MIT advisor asking about irregularities in her current research. Dr. Rodriguez, I received a disturbing call suggesting there might be problems with the authenticity of your space tourism research. I wanted to hear your side before this goes any further. Amanda was devastated. Years of legitimate research were being questioned because of Jessica's vindictive campaign. Professor Williams, these allegations are completely false. My research is thoroughly documented, and the NASA review process will verify every aspect of our innovation. The investigation into Amanda's research credentials was swift and conclusive. MIT vouched for her completely, her previous employers confirmed her contributions, and NASA's review process validated our technical innovations. But the damage to Amanda's reputation was real, and she was furious in a way I'd never seen before. Michael, she's not just attacking you anymore. She's trying to destroy my career because I exist in your life. This has gone beyond petty revenge into criminal territory. Amanda was right. Jessica had crossed the line from hurt ex-girlfriend to dangerous adversary. When her attempts to destroy our professional lives failed, she made one final desperate play that would backfire more spectacularly than anything she'd tried before. The final confrontation came in the most public way possible, and it was entirely Jessica's choice. Amanda and I had just returned from Houston, where we'd presented our space tourism innovations to NASA officials. The meetings had gone better than we'd hoped. NASA was interested in licensing our propulsion technology, and we'd received preliminary approval for a joint research grant worth $2 million. We were planning a quiet celebration when I received a notification that Jessica had tagged me in a public Facebook post. What I found was Jessica's final desperate gambit, a public announcement that she was attending my company's annual aerospace conference as my guest, expecting to reconcile publicly and expose what she called the workplace affair that destroyed our relationship. The post included details about the conference location and her plans to confront both Amanda and me in front of professional colleagues. I deserve the chance to face the woman who stole my boyfriend while I was dealing with personal trauma, she'd written. Some people need to be held accountable. The audacity was breathtaking. Jessica had convinced herself that she could crash a professional aerospace conference, cause a scene, and somehow win me back while destroying Amanda's career. Amy had commented, "Jessica, please don't do this. You're going to humiliate yourself in front of his entire industry." But Jessica was beyond reason. She'd purchased a conference ticket and posted her confirmation email, along with a plan of when she'd reveal the truth about our relationship. I showed the post to Amanda, who stared at the screen in disbelief. She's actually planning to ambush us at a professional conference where we're presenting our NASA collaboration. This is unhinged even for her, I said. She's going to make a scene in front of the entire aerospace industry. But Jessica had made a critical miscalculation. The aerospace community is incredibly professional and tight-knit. Word of her planned disruption spread quickly through industry channels, and by the next morning, conference security had contacted me directly. "Mr. Wells, we've been made aware of a potential security concern regarding your scheduled presentation. We understand there may be an individual planning to disrupt the conference proceedings." Yes, my ex-girlfriend has made public statements about confronting me and my colleague during our presentation. She's purchased a ticket, but she has no legitimate business at the conference. We take threats to disrupt our professional proceedings very seriously. We've reviewed her social media posts and consider her a security risk. Her conference registration has been canceled and she's been banned from the venue. The irony was perfect. Jessica's own public threats had given conference security everything they needed to exclude her before she could cause damage. But Jessica wasn't finished. When she arrived at the conference venue and was turned away by security, she decided to stage her confrontation in the hotel lobby where many attendees were staying. I discovered this when Amanda and I returned from our highly successful presentation to find Jessica in the Marriott lobby, surrounded by confused aerospace professionals, making a loud scene about betrayal and stolen boyfriends. "Michael Wells is a liar and a cheat," she was announcing to anyone who would listen. "He abandoned me during the worst period of my life to sleep with his colleague." The lobby fell silent. 60 aerospace professionals, including NASA officials, venture capitalists, and industry executives, stopped their conversations to stare at this woman having a complete breakdown. Amanda and I emerged from the elevator just as Jessica spotted us. "There they are! The cheating couple who destroyed my life while I was suffering in Paris." She started walking toward us, but hotel security was already moving to intercept her. The entire lobby watched as Amanda stepped forward and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Ma'am, I don't know who you are, but you're disrupting a professional conference. If you have concerns about workplace conduct, there are appropriate channels for those complaints." Jessica's face went red. "You know exactly who I am. You stole my boyfriend while I was in Paris, dealing with being scammed by a romance fraud." A murmur went through the lobby. The optics couldn't have been worse for Jessica. A woman who'd been scammed in a foreign country was now causing a scene at a professional aerospace conference. A NASA official approached us as hotel security escorted Jessica out. "Dr. Rodriguez, Mr. Wells, I apologize for this disruption. We understand this individual has no connection to the aerospace industry." "None whatsoever," Amanda replied calmly. "This appears to be a personal matter that we've tried to handle privately." "Well, your presentation today was exceptional. We're looking forward to finalizing our partnership agreement." As Jessica was removed from the hotel, screaming about injustice and authentic love, I realized her final gambit had accomplished the exact opposite of what she'd intended. Instead of destroying our careers, she'd demonstrated her complete disconnect from professional conduct while we'd maintained our composure and dignity. 6 months later, Amanda and I were engaged and working on our space tourism venture from our new home in Houston, while Jessica had moved back with her parents and deleted all social media accounts after Antoine publicly posted about crazy American women who fund his lifestyle.